I'm Emily Mashak, and you're listening to Tuned Into NoCo, Town Square Media's show that lets you know what matters in NoCo. I'm talking today with Dan Coldiron, the Chief Information Officer for the City of Loveland, and Hannah LaLuzerne, the Residential Specialist for Loveland Water and Power, about the City of Loveland's new utility billing system and how it's going so far. But before we dive into the billing system and the topic at hand, I would love to learn a little bit about each of you. Can you tell me about your roles within the City of Loveland?
This is Dan, and for me, I'm the CIO, Chief Information Officer, and have been here around 2 years. Prior to coming to Loveland, I was the CIO at Fort Collins for about 9 years.
And how about you, Hannah?
Sure. So I'm the Customer Relations Specialist with Water and Power, and my role is conducting customer outreach and marketing programs along with residential efficiency programs.
And we know that the City of Loveland launched a new utility billing system earlier this year. What inspired the city to make this big change?
Emily, one of the big drivers on that was that the previous system was actually from the 1980s. It was old system, obsolete, and we really needed to replace that system. With that, we were looking for obviously a stable, secure system, right? But we were also wanted to expand our service delivery for our customers because newer technologies can provide so much more. It's looking at elements of the customer portal and billing opportunities and such. Yeah, I'm sure Hannah can provide some more information on the detail on those services for our customers.
Right. Well, thank you, Dan, because that actually kind of goes into my next question. Hannah, what would you say are some of the biggest differences between the new system and the old one?
Yeah, so I'll speak to what the customer is and what our community is seeing, and that's a much more modern experience with their utility. We've had the ability for customers to pay their bill online for a while, but we've never offered a tool where they could actually go on and view their consumption over time, as well as make changes to their utility service. And so with this upgrade, we've added some of those, what most people might consider basic expectations for a modern utility. So the ability to change their address or request a new trash cart size, the ability to compare how their water consumption has changed over time and compare it against precipitation. So a lot of cool tools for kind of taking control and putting that control into the customer's hands about how they're using these services that we provide, and giving them new ways to interact with us as well, to provide feedback on the services that we offer through little comment boxes on each page of the portal. And in addition to the online component, we've completely redesigned our utility bill so that it displays more information and provides more transparency about how we're charging customers for services.
One of the big differences from the technology aspect is that the new system has much better interfaces to other elements of our technology within the city. Things like it's directly connected to our GIS platforms. So as new homes are built, then those addresses are just added very seamlessly right into the new billing system. As well as it's connected into our building permitting system. So interfaces of what's happening at a new home as it's being built also can trigger events within the billing system. So it makes it much more seamless and takes away some of the manual work that we had to do previously.
Now, when I was reading about the new system, I saw that since its launch, it's actually been going well. There's been faster billing times, faster wait times, successes with the portal. In both of your experiences, would you be able to expand on that a little bit more? What are some of the successes you've seen from this new system since it launched?
I guess one element I did want to touch on, very complex system. These systems are changed out, if not very often, right? It's 10 years at the earliest that you ever want to change one of these systems out because it is such a large effort and such. With that complexity, although we went live in June, we're just now starting to ramp down some of those post-go live activities. And cleanup efforts, getting reports in place and cleaning up the billing processes and such because of the effort. But I will also, I wanted to make that statement before we went any further. But Hannah can also talk about, some of those efforts which are directly impacting our customers.
Yeah, and I will add there too that, we're 3 months into this launch and we're seeing staff gain a lot of confidence with the new system. We are closing a lot of the gaps that we had initially. I think we've learned a lot with this transition, and it's starting to feel like home again, on this new software. But I will say that we have had more than 14,000 customers sign up on the online portal, which is fantastic, and more than 2,300 of them are enrolled in electronic billing, which is also something that we had never offered before. This is the first time that you can go completely paperless with your utility service from the City of Loveland. So that's been really cool to watch those numbers crank up over the last couple of months.
Yeah, that's great. And it's so awesome to hear that it's working so well. But it isn't always easy to launch a completely new system. What are some of the challenges that you think people are still facing with it, and how can they get help with those and remedy them?
One of the things that an advancement we made, city used to attempt to print our own utility bills, and we're talking up to 40,000 documents per month, right? And so that was a big effort to try to do internally with the staff that we have. We outsourced that bill printing to an outside vendor, which has been really helpful, but we did that at the same time we went live with the system. We had a few hiccups there. We had planned to go with a smaller envelope, and we found in working with our vendor over the first month or two, our printing vendor, that they were having some issues getting as much of the paper as we needed them to print into the smaller envelope. What we worked with them on was we switched to actually a 6 by 9.5 inch envelope, which only requires your paper to be folded twice rather than 3 times. And with that, with the smaller envelope, we had some delays in getting the bills mailed and delivered to customers, which has been, which was kind of frustrating in that first 2 months. With the switch to the larger envelope, that has cleared that all up. And in August, we've totally gotten back to on our schedule for delivery of, as scheduled for getting those bills to our customers, which has really helped a lot.
And how about you, Hannah? What are some of the challenges you've seen?
Yeah, so Dan mentioned these billing delays, and I think that was a huge hurdle that we didn't anticipate when we first launched. And we recognize the stress and frustration that can create for customers. So, we've also been very careful to acknowledge, where this is our fault, and as a result, we have not, we are not assessing any late fees or doing any disconnects on utility service until we kind of work through those hiccups. So we know it can be a little ominous to see a warning that your bill is late when you receive it, and so we've been trying to meet folks where they're at by kind of taking responsibility and making sure that nobody is punished for our mistakes here as a result. And customers have been great. They've been understanding. There has been some frustration in the community, but we've been working to get the word out to our customers on how this is working. And for the most part, people get it. I think anybody who's even purchased a new computer and started all over with their file systems gets that technology can be really tricky to start over with. And that's what we're doing, but we're doing it coming from a 30-year-old system to something that looks completely brand new. And even where things are easier and more efficient overall, there's still a learning curve to get used to where things are located. And third, we do have staff who've been with us for the better part of those 30 plus years that old system was in place. So just a lot of learning going on internally and a lot of educating going on externally. But the other thing that I think we've run into is, we launched at the same time that bills start to go up, which has been a bit of an interesting crossroads to be at, because oftentimes for customers, the first bill they get is an especially high one. This hot summer has really kind of exacerbated people's consumption with air conditioners running for longer and lawns being a little thirstier. And so we've also kind of seen that hit where there's some confusion about consumption. And so we continue to work through and provide explanations for how your bill is calculated, and then work with folks on what they can do to reduce that usage. So the good news, though, is that bill does, as I mentioned before, provide more transparency. So folks can see what is base charge, what is consumption charge, what different rates are at play when they receive that bill. And so hopefully, provide some reassurance there that, what they're seeing is normal. And we're proud to report that the integrity of our meter reads and the integrity of our data has not been impacted by this transition. So it all just looks a little bit different than it used to.
Right. And for our listeners who may be still on the learning curve, especially with the technology aspect, is there a place they can go if they have questions or need a little more guidance?
Yeah, we always encourage people to reach out to us directly. There's a lot more that we can do if we can look up your account, understand a little bit more about what you have going on in the home, and take a look at your historic usage as well. I think we had a lot of rain here at the end of spring, and so water bills were maybe fortuitously a little bit lower than normal, and shot back up later in the summer as those heat waves started taking place. So I think that, there's been some alarming jumps in bills, but really if we have the opportunity to go through it with you and take a look at what you've used before, I think these jumps are a little bit less scary than they might seem at first glance. So, step one is just always reach out to us directly. You can call us, or we do have some FAQs on our website at lovelandwaterandpower.org. And you can also check out lovegov.org/utility billing for more information. But, really encourage folks to just reach out. We want to help. We know that there's a lot of change to navigate, and, there is an explanation for it all. And we'd love to lend that human touch to the problems you're experiencing.
Well, thank you both so much, Hannah and Dan, for taking the time to chat with me today. Is there anything else you would like listeners to know?
I would say just, I would encourage folks to hop online and take a look at some of the new features we've added. Call us if you have questions about it. But I think, things do look very different than they did before, but there's also so much more that we've put in your control, so much that you have visibility into that you didn't before. And it was a very fun system to set up in that regard, knowing that we were able to provide all of these features that weren't there before. And I think that a lot of it is meant to be self-service. So, don't take my word for it, what's going on with your usage. Go on and play around with the graphs yourself. They kind of animate nicely too with some of the weather overlays. And then also, the system has changed, but we remain committed to serving our customers with that community-focused customer service that we had before. We're all residents of the local community too, and we're navigating changes too as consumers, but we're here for you. And I think part of the wonderful thing about having municipal utility service is that we're not driven by profits. We are driven by a commitment to the people that we serve here, and our neighbors that we live and work alongside.
I think it's, as, employees of this community in the city, it's just really exciting to be able to deliver a newer product that gets current technologies into the hands of our community members for services that we provide. It's just really neat. We're just excited to get past this initial go live stage and provide those services to them. It's great.
Again, that was Dan Coldiron and Hannah LaLuzerne talking about the City of Loveland's new utility billing system. Learn more about the system at lovelandwaterandpower.org or at lovegov.org.